Thank you. I'm sorry to go ahead, Mark. I'm sorry.
Got it. So I'll provide an opportunity for Dana to introduce herself and give a little, touch on her background and what she has specialized in and the services that she will be providing to you all.
Thanks, Mark. Good morning, everyone. It's lovely to meet you. I'm calling in, joining you from Paso Robles, as where I'm going to be based out of. That's my hometown. It's where I grew up, and I got to relocate back here a few years ago. My background specialty focus is around tourism and outdoor recreation spaces. I spent some time with the Sierra Nevada Conservancy, another state agency. We were focused on forest health initiatives and a lot of fuels reduction work over in the Sierra Nevada, habitat preservation. So it's a little diverse. The background is a little, maybe generalist in nature, but I think that bodes well because as we look at our region, and Mark outlined it, San Benito, Monterey, San Luis Obispo, and Santa Barbara counties, there is a lot of diversity in that region. And I'm looking forward to diving into kind of what the area's focus are and the kind of the needs that we're looking at. I'm in place to kind of focus on two things, business development, helping with site selection and identifying spots where businesses interested in either relocating to California or perhaps expanding within California, maybe looking at sites within the Central Coast. I'm here to help identify and find those spots, as well as helping our partners, such as the EDC there in San Benito and other communities throughout this region, to really know what resources are available and what grant opportunities or partnership opportunities or funding opportunities may be available out there to tap into. And I think that's one of the biggest focus areas, is to ensure that you all know what resources are available within our respective state partner agencies. There's a lot of work being done. And I think a county such as San Benito and a community such as San Juan Bautista or Hollister or some of the other smaller areas up there could really benefit from. And so my intent is to make sure that you guys know these opportunities exist and maybe try to connect some dots for you as we move forward. So looking forward to eventually being in person where it makes sense. You guys are just up the road from where I am. And so we'll look forward to having lots of opportunities to chat and learn more about your priorities and your areas of focus as well.
Thank you, Dana. And Poonam, if there's anything as we just continue discussion, if you want to chime in and add on, please feel free and feel free to say hi and introduce yourself as well. You'll have to speak through your phone. It's not audio's not coming in through your computer. Perhaps some challenges, but
how is that now?
Yes, you're good now.
I didn't realize I had to press *6, so apologies for that.
Okay.
To unmute myself. Anyways, obviously I'm having some audio issues this morning on my Surface Pro, but I'm very glad to be here today, joined with Mark and Dana on the team. It's been a long road for us to identify a regional specialist in the Central Coast, so we are so excited to have Dana join us and to be a supporting a partner for you all for more targeted outreach and supporting the needs that you guys have. Really excited to have our team be able to present the different services and programs that our office has. I think in general, you can think of us, lots of businesses think of us as kind of a first stop to get connected to anything related to government. We see ourselves as facilitators and connectors of dots. If we don't know the information, we know someone who does. So I hope that if there's anything you take away from this meeting, please know that we are a resource for all of you and your constituencies to help here in the Central Coast. So I know Mark has a presentation planned, so I'll kick it back over to him, but really thank you all for your attention today, and I look forward to the partnership ahead.
Great. So that I'm going to share my screen and pull up the presentation that we've prepared. And as you all understand or are aware, the focus is on opportunity zones, and also that's what we were requested to present on, but not just opportunity zones, but perhaps ways that communities can that they can prepare themselves, prepare those sites that are within opportunity zones, or to make opportunity zone potential projects more attractive. But first, I wanted to provide an overview. We've already touched on them a little bit, so I can I'll make quick work of this initial part. But as right now, I don't have a view of you all, so if you have any questions, just please feel free to chime in. Right now, all I see is my slides ahead of me, so I'm not able to see the audience. So if you have any questions, this group's small enough. If you want to chime in, please feel free. Or if not, we could hold until the end of the presentation to hold those questions. So as we mentioned, GoBiz serves as the state of California's leader for job growth and economic development and business assistance efforts. We provide no-cost tailored consultation on site selection and navigation and incentive navigation for businesses. And we also have several units within GoBiz that are focused on permit assistance, international affairs and trade, small business advocacy, and hosts for various tax incentive programs, such as our California Competes tax credit.
Hey, Mark.
Yep.
Real quick, can you hear me?
Yes.
Do you mind if you do your display settings to presenter mode? That may make the screen a little bigger. I think we're seeing your slides with.
Are you seeing like the?
I think we're in like speaker mode.
You go to display.
There we go.
Yeah, that
Okay.
works too.
That's odd because I did have. I'm hearing some feedback. Can everybody else mute unless you wanted to speak? Okay, that's odd because I had it in slideshow mode, but I'll work from it here. So it sounds like that's working better. Thank you, Poonam. Okay, so the GoBiz team has several units within our office. Poonam, Dana, and I represent the business investment services. We also have a permitting specialist covering Northern Southern California, small business assistance specialist, international affairs, Cal Competes, and other dynamic teams, including the California Film Commission, iBank, Zero Emission Vehicle Infrastructure and Marketing Team, travel and tourism, otherwise known as Visit California, and a forthcoming alternative energy development team. Our CalBiz and OPA specialists, we have people covering the entire state of California, chopped up into several different regions. Poonam covers the Bay Area region. She's also our assistant deputy director. Dana covers the Central Coast region, as we mentioned, covering San Benito, San Luis Obispo, Santa Barbara, and Monterey counties. And I'm the place-based business development specialist, and I cover statewide, providing assistance on these various initiatives. And so GoBiz has done a lot to kind of make our services a lot more user-friendly in the past several years. And so I encourage all of you to check out our website. It's business.ca.gov. And with this, you can find different incentives that are available to some of California's priority industries, including aerospace and defense, agriculture and ag tech, biotech, manufacturing industries. And as you see here, you can navigate various options within our website, and there's a lot of opportunities for seeking assistance through Contact Us, and we can provide kind of more tailored assistance as you dive into our website and find something that you see interesting. So for an overview of the key business development incentives, and I will provide a copy of these slides or a copy of the PDF of these slides back to the team. This is our final version, but all of these, everything that you see is in that gold font that's underlined, is a link. So if you want to learn more about these programs, you just click on those links to take you to the respective webpage. And so for our major incentives that we have to offer to businesses trying to locate or retain or expand within California, there's the California Competes Tax Credit, which is a competitive, non-refundable, performance-based corporate income tax that is awarded to companies that provide economic benefits through creation of new jobs and new capital investments. There are certain criteria that need to be addressed as to thresholds for capital expenditures and facility development, and also targets for new employment growth or for purposes of retention if it's a if the company is perhaps looking to relocate outside of the state. Also, there are tax credits for purchasing of equipment or tenant improvements related to the that's on the next one. The other one's a research and development tax credit, which can reduce the state income tax due to franchise tax board for activities for qualified research activities. Other ones, and I understand that you are all in the PG&E electric service territory. And so we have an economic development rate program that provides discounts for businesses that require higher energy loads to operate or continue operating in California. And the next two are exemptions, tax exemptions, sales tax exemptions on the purchasing of manufacturing equipment. We have a partial sales and use tax exemption for basic manufacturing equipment and improvements. And then also the California Alternative Energy and Advanced Transportation Financing Authority offers a full sales and use tax exclusion for manufacturers that promote alternative energy and advanced transportation. And finally, another key incentive is the Employment Training Panel, which provides funding to employers for training required to upgrade the skills of their workers. So all these we can provide, kind of navigate companies that come to us, or if you have a company that wants to locate there and they need some support, we can be your one-stop shop to navigate them through these various programs. Also, we have iBank, which is a broad authority to issue tax-exempt and taxable revenue bonds, which provide financing to public and private agencies, provide credit enhancements, acquire or lease facilities, and leverage state and federal funds. I'll brush through these quickly, but they offer 501c3 bonds to tax-exempt financing to eligible nonprofit public benefit corporations. There's a small business loan guarantee program, which is designed to assist small businesses that experience capital access barriers. A disaster relief loan guarantee, and also a California Rebuilding Fund, which is a public-private partnership that is aggregating funding from private, philanthropic, and public sector sources to address capital advisory needs of California's small businesses as they reopen and recover from COVID-19 crisis. And the final unit that I'm going to touch on within GoBiz is the Office of Small Business Advocate, and they support economic growth and innovation to ensure that California small businesses and startups have the information, direct resources, access to capital, and also funding and other financial opportunities to be able to start up and expand in California. So before I get into kind of the, what I was requested to bring to provide today is, touching on opportunity zones and supportive place-based programs. So are there any questions so far? All right, great.
I have one question, Mark. This
Yeah.
is Brian. This is Brian. What sort of organizations do you typically work through? The Economic Development Commission, local Economic Development Commission, or do you find that you work directly with businesses? How do services generally get provided through GoBiz?
Poonam, would you, I'll take a
Yeah,
first.
sure.
Yeah, Poonam, could you please advise on this one?
Yeah, thanks for the question, Brian. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great. Yeah, so actually the answer to that question is really both and all. So we have tailored services to help businesses, you know, one-on-one direct conversations, get them to understand what incentive programs can be available to them based on their operations and activities that they'll have here in California to help them be successful. And then we also help them with site selection initiatives with the help of economic development partners like yourselves in helping us identify sites in different regions. Usually those are the EDCs or different city or municipal or county level economic development staff that have kind of intel to available sites in their regions. On the flip side, with working with different municipalities and local regional economic development partners, we also can help by navigating them through state programs, grants, loans that can be available to help them. As Mark mentioned, with the IBAN, the Infrastructure Economic Development Bank, they have in their programs an array of different infrastructure revolving loan funds and tax exempt bonds that can help communities with infrastructure related projects and so on. So we really are kind of fronting both areas to help with education and awareness about these programs that exist at the state level.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
I have a quick question just regarding the service on helping educate on grants and loans and things like that. Do you guys, so I think one of the biggest frustrations that we had as a small business navigating through all the SBA loans, grant opportunities is one, just getting onto the website without it crashing, or two, staying on a phone line for like 4 hours waiting to be spoken to. So do you guys have any kind of insight or contacts on your own where you could be helpful to us on that front at all? Meaning, do we have to wait in that 4-hour line, or do we have to keep dealing with a crashing website? Or do you guys have contacts to sort of let us know status or anything like that? Does that make sense?
Yeah, yes, of course. So similar to what Mark, Dana, and I do on kind of more of the mid-level size businesses to large businesses, we have a small business team that's solely dedicated to providing technical assistance to small businesses, especially in navigating those different SBA grant or loan opportunities. Most recently, they themselves had their own COVID-19 relief grant program, which they partnered with Lendistry on. And I know there were a couple of different issues in administering that program online in their portal. So they have a team kind of similarly structured to us. They have regional specialists as well. They can often walk and handhold small businesses through different loan or financing opportunities as well.
Okay, thank you.
And actually the regional specialist on their side for your region, her name is Letitia Corona. I don't know if some of you have maybe met with her in the past, but we'd be happy to provide her contact information and also, perhaps since you guys have these meetings, currently, we could invite her to the next one or let her know that this exists so she can also provide information on kind of more of the technical front of what they do on the small business side.
Okay. I
That would be
adjusted,
great. Thank
I adjusted some of the settings a little bit. Do you just see now kind of in presentation mode of only the slide? Okay.
Yes.
great.
Yes.
All right, figured it out now. Okay, great. Thank you for the questions. As I mentioned before, I'm going to be getting more into the place-based program support that we provide, generally targeted towards opportunity zones and economic development districts, and also grant navigation for kind of more of your community investment funds. So looking a little bit away from business investment services and more towards, how can we support and help jurisdictions, counties, cities, and counties. Kind of there's been a lot of excitement and also concern or confusion about opportunity zones. And so hopefully this presentation will be able to clarify or demystify some of the misunderstanding about opportunity zones, but also inform you all about other programs or other types of districts that could be formed to support more long-term growth within your region. Opportunity zones are maybe a little bit of a flash of a pan and work best in certain areas. And so I just want to, one, provide a more realistic approach about opportunity zones, and two, provide information that, if opportunity zones are not the right avenue for you all for economic development, here are some other opportunities, or here's some other programs. So as many of you probably are aware, opportunity zones are census tracts that are economically distressed communities where new investments may, under certain conditions, be eligible for preferential federal tax treatment or preferential consideration for federal grants and programs. And the census tract that you have that is an opportunity zone in San Benito County is it's large in territory, but it covers the entirety of the city of San Juan Bautista and kind of the northwest portion of the county, and also goes into a little bit of the city of Hollister. The benefit of opportunity zones is that it provides several federal tax incentives for investors if they invest their capital gains and make them through a qualified opportunity fund, and they meet other eligibility requirements such as investments in property or investments in businesses. And so they must make their investment through a qualified opportunity fund that is established with the IRS in order to qualify for these tax benefits. We get a lot of questions from constituents that are they own property within an opportunity zone, so they think that they may be eligible for benefits. That's not true. They're eligible for benefits, or they're eligible for these tax benefits if the property is acquired or business is started through this mechanism called the Qualified Opportunity Fund that must be established with the IRS. So an overview of those tax incentive benefits is that it can defer federal capital gains taxes, and it can defer the payment of those taxes realized on the investment as through December 31st, 2026. So if you're making an investment today through that Qualified Opportunity Fund using your capital gains, you do not have to pay taxes on that. And if you keep it in that Qualified Opportunity Fund until approximately 5 years out. Now, there's the real kind of benefit to it is that it can actually reduce the amount that you owe on that capital gains. And it could reduce it by as much as 10 or 15% if you hold that investment within a 5 or 7 year window. Now, I want to call out that capital gains reduction expires if the Qualified Opportunity Fund investments are not made by December 31st, 2021. However, investors are still eligible for this third one, which is the elimination of taxes on future gains if that qualified opportunity fund is held for at least 10 years. So if they were to invest in the opportunity fund in 2022 or later, between 2022 or the end of 2026, and they hold that investment for 10 years, then any future gain on or any profit on that property or business will not have to be paid, or in terms of federal capital gains taxes. And the GoBiz has an opportunity zone site, opzones.ca.gov. And what we provide is an integrated mapping tool. So we pull in different state programs, different state investments, overlaying with opportunity zones to see kind of what could be your best bet or best bang for your dollar in terms of trying to leverage different state and federal programs. In addition, we have various resources and best practices, some of which I'm going to be getting into later on in this discussion, and also case studies of public investments and private investments within opportunity zones. So kind of the big benefit of opportunity zones has so far been realized in large urban areas. California has led the way for private investments in opportunity zones or through qualified opportunity funds. And some of the cities that have realized some of the most private investments in opportunity zones has been in Los Angeles, Sacramento, San Jose, Oakland, and Berkeley. And most of those investments have gone into residential or residential mixed use projects. So a lot more urban, larger apartment buildings, and also kind of commercial mixed use projects. In addition, some of the additional investments have been in hospitality, and where there hasn't been as much investment has been into kind of renewable energy projects or operating businesses, yet those are eligible investment opportunities. So some of the added opportunity zone benefits is that it can be leveraged, it can be used to leverage federal grant funding programs. There's HUD has the Housing and Urban Development, the Federal Department of Housing and Urban Development has this HUD Local Leaders website that provides examples of federal grant programs that have preferential points if a project or if a community investment is located within an opportunity zone. And again, if you can't read some of these, some of the details on this, the slides that I'm going to, or the PDF that I'm going to be providing you all has links that you can click on to access some of these various programs and view these web pages in detail. And so I have just an example of where you can locate these grants, these federal grants that have kind of preferential point treatment. If you go onto the federal government's grant search portal, there's a category that has kind of a click for opportunity zone benefits. But right now there are only 11 active, but in the past there has been up to 270 or more federal grant programs that have these preferential point treatments for projects located within opportunity zones. And next I want to get into some of the local best practices that communities around California have demonstrated to try to attract investment within their opportunity zones. And one of that is a prospectus. And a prospectus is either a website or a document that provides a community profile, as well as a profile on land opportunities, land development opportunities within your communities that are in opportunity zones. And these are marketed out towards brokers or marketed out towards investors so that they can perhaps see opportunities to attract projects within these areas. And I'm choosing a community that is rural, is a small rural community in Northern California, Corning and Orland. They've combined together to develop a prospectus. So this is something that perhaps could be developed on a county-wide basis to highlight projects within San Juan Bautista, Hollister, or other communities within your county. And their prospectus first has a community profile, but then gets into kind of some development site opportunities, detailing the zoning and detailing some of the capacities of that project, and also perhaps some of the opportunities or constraints of that site for future development. Other local best practices are through project marketing. There's a website called opsites.com, which is a clearinghouse for opportunity development sites throughout the country. And this is something that private investors and also local jurisdictions use to market sites. As you can see here, one of them that I've highlighted is from the city of Modesto, and it is from someone that's in their economic development department. And what this also has is it highlights opportunity zone projects, as you can see circled, or there is an orange OZ, which stands for project that are opportunity zone and opportunity fund eligible projects. Other local best practices, this is kind of steering a little bit away from opportunity zones, but wanted to highlight some either local level planning, local and regional level planning that you all can undertake to improve your long-term economic and community development goals. And of which I'm going to go into kind of land use and infrastructure planning, as well as tax increment or land secured financing. So really the goal here is to align your land use policy with your funding, with your local funding, so that you can either take advantage of value capture or other land secured investments to carry forward your local economic and community development goals. So where I want to highlight is their tax increment financing for recovery. So this is a tool that municipal governments can use to stimulate economic development and targeted geographical growth through the use of tax increment through either an EIFD, which is an enhanced infrastructure financing district, or a community revitalization investment authority, or various other tools, so that you can use value capture to be able to, take advantage of any future development or future growth, and be able to invest the future proceeds of the tax increments, the property tax increment, back into those districts, so that you can stimulate or incentivize growth within your area. So as I mentioned, there's EIFD and CREA, which have been retooled a bit in the past several years. These tax increment financing district tools that have been amended over the years to be able to streamline and also make them easier to implement for local communities. And what we do is we'll for GoBiz is we'll talk with the local jurisdictions, with city managers, with community development departments, and provide information and resources regarding these tools and how to best leverage them, and also get those folks in touch with practitioners out in the field, whether it's on behalf of a city or a county, or the consultants that are working on these tools, so that you can, we can be a clearinghouse, information clearinghouse for you to be able to address questions that you may have or concerns that you may have about these tools and how they can be best implemented in your community. Here's just an overview. It's difficult to see, but again, you'll have these slides available so you can see what these programs may be able to fund. They're useful for investing in kind of geographically specific infrastructure or for providing funding for affordable housing, which is becoming increasingly desirable and increasingly needed as cities and counties are addressing their regional housing needs assessments, their RHNA obligations that the state has began to impose through the California, through the HCD, the Housing and Community Development Department. And so these tools are useful for providing investments for infrastructure needed to be able to support future growth or be able to provide a funding mechanism for affordable housing, which has been largely missed since the dissolution of redevelopment in 2012. Again, just as an overview, can be used to fund infrastructure and public works projects, parks, libraries, roads, bridges, anything under the ground, your wet utilities, and also affordable housing. And a key advantage of the Community Revitalization and Investment Authority, or CREA, is that it can be used for eminent domain authority under limited use cases to acquire and assemble properties to maximize potential for development. And these these investment designations are also helpful for overlapping federal incentives, such as new market tax credits, new employment tax credit, or other state and federal funding that's coming through the pipeline. So what we at GoBiz is promoting is how to best incentivize or best utilize the state's investments through local, in establishing local investments, so you can kind of prepare a capital stack in order to take advantage of various either climate change or economic kind of stimulus funding that's coming online from the state and federal government. Do we have a question? Okay. And so the other, as I mentioned, we are kind of a funding or a grants navigator. And so one of the things we wanted to spotlight for you all is the California Grants Portal. And it's a very user-friendly tool that's been developed by the California State Library. And it will help navigate individuals, businesses, or local jurisdictions looking for funding assistance related to a variety of opportunities such as housing, community and economic development, water or wastewater infrastructure projects and the like. And it's very resourceful tool that, again, can be used in kind of coordination with your local investments. And what's great about some of the tools that I mentioned before is that they can be a mechanism for your local match funding. For, say, I know Caltrans has a lot of requirements that, local jurisdictions do have to match 10+% of the total funding. So these various tools can be used to support their local needs through local grant match funding. And as I mentioned before, there's the federal government also has some tools available. And I also recommend registering or signing up for the Office of Planning, the Governor's Office of Planning and Research. They have this federal grants e-list that will provide a month or weekly newsletter on federal grant funding opportunities for community development purposes. And ways that you can stay connected with GoBiz are to sign up for California GoBiz General newsletters, the Office of Small Business Advocate newsletter. We have other Opportunity Zone newsletter, international newsletters, and Also registering for some of the other programs that I mentioned before, such as the state grants portal and federal grants e-list. So now if either any of the business representatives or community representatives have some questions, we have about 15 minutes to address those. So welcome you to open the floor for that.
I have a comment, if I may. Thank you so much for doing this. This has been a great presentation. Brian, nicely done on pulling this together. With this and the presentation that we had a couple weeks ago, helping out our businesses and our community. This is really amazing. Thank you all so much. I'm hoping that we all are going to be using these tools. And thank you all to the business. Thank you to all of the businesses who are here today.
Yeah, credit to Renee, actually, who really helped bring GoBiz to San Juan Bautista. So it was very good. I have a, there's a lot of feedback there. So I have a question. You know, there's a lot to unpack here with respect to how San Juan Bautista and working with other entities in San Benito County might be able to get started looking at how we can use some of these tools to strengthen the resilience of our business climate. You know, we really, I think, are probably would be able to take advantage at some point of some sort of local assessment regarding how, you know, what is the best way, what are the best tools that we might be able to take advantage of here based on our local context. And what is the typical way that communities get started, figure out what you know, sort of tools, what sort of resources might be best utilized by a jurisdiction like San Juan Bautista? You know, we're small and we're relatively rural, but we're in a, I think we're in a big economic development shed, if you will, given our proximity to Santa Clara County and so forth. So there's a lot of extra local influences on San Juan Bautista, certainly. But how do you see San Juan Bautista getting started to you know, really look at what we might best utilize?
I think a lot of it is just based on the needs that you have in your growth projections, and you know, where are your deficiencies, or if it's going to be, you know, greenfield, if it's going to be new growth. It all depends on kind of what's the context of what is it you're trying to support. We are tracking and we're assisting, providing assistance for some small local communities in Southern California in tax increment financing districts, and kind of revitalizing, you know, dilapidating small downtowns. One of them is the city of Victorville. So I would look up what they're doing. Is they're implementing a CREA to revitalize their downtown and also to provide some support funding for homeless services. And with that, they're really trying to support kind of, you know, small business development, small business growth and retention in their downtown. But if what you're, you know, looking to do is grow outward, to grow, you know, expand, you know, take advantage perhaps some of the, you know, commute or work from home benefits that we're seeing right now with people that are leaving large metro areas. You know, a better tool might be land secured financing, such as a community facilities district or assessment district, so that it is targeted towards providing funding mechanisms for kind of outward new growth. But in terms of how can these tools be supportive of businesses? I think that's really incumbent on, what's more of a regional strategy for trying to attract your some priority industries such as ag or ag tech, clean energy, and identifying some of your partners either at a utility level or looking to case studies such as what's being done over in Salinas. I think that could perhaps be valuable for your community to kind of learn and observe how they're doing it. I know that they have a lot of investments coming through through Taylor Farms. So a lot of it is really just needing a strong local champion, strong local business champion to be able to kind of put your town on the map and provide some either space for incubation and give people who are really curious or motivated a place to start and perhaps grow in your community.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Puna,
Mark?
Dana, with your background and experience, and Renee too. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I was just gonna, oh, go ahead, Renee.
I apologize. I didn't want to interrupt. Mark, might it be helpful to have a sort of roundtable discussion, maybe in San Juan Bautista or one of our areas with Dana, since she's familiar with our area and is our Central Coast representative for GoBiz, that she might be able to help us determine where to go from here, to start the discussion of using the opportunity zones, who else should be involved in the community to help facilitate more economic development in San Juan Bautista.
I like that. I like that idea.
Yeah. Well, one thing I do know is, and I've been involved with several of the meetings so far, is that one of our Inland Empire rep, he gets involved with monthly meetings with kind of the various agencies. He meets, one-on-one with them or as a group with, a county and a couple cities. So I think that's a great opportunity to just have regular meetings between Dana and, perhaps the county and your cities as a whole to provide monthly updates as to funding opportunities and updates at, what's going on at the state level, so that you are all aware of and can take advantage of us as a resource, and also as each other. A lot of what's coming through, a lot of the funding opportunities that are coming through is establishing regional coalitions and using these regional coalitions for more long-term economic development growth. So I think it's going to be a challenge to do this as the city of San Juan Bautista. You're going to have to really tap into a larger community to be able to attract these investments and opportunities.
Where the heck are they?
Yeah, if I could, I'll also add that that's an offer that I extended just yesterday with the regional partner here in the San Luis Obispo and Santa Barbara County area, REACH. And, we're going to set up a regular meeting monthly and or as needed to review the opportunities coming out, but also for me to be able to keep track of what their priorities are and the direction that they've established for their respective communities and counties. And I think that's just an important part of this equation, is how you as a community and as a county and as a region, how you're identifying your priorities and where you want to go as a community and as a region. That's really important. We're not going to tell you where to go. We're not going to tell you how, where you should be. what we can provide you with are the resources to help you get to where you want to go. But I think it's really important that you all start to build that sense of regional connection, and identifying those partners that you can really, tap into and work very collaboratively with, to start to identify some shared goals that you can all reach together. And as a community like San Juan Bautista, yes, you might be considered small, but when you start to build that collective effort with some of your surrounding partners, all of a sudden, you show up on the map in a much bigger way. So it's going to be really important that we think about that collaboration, and we think about that collective impact, but most importantly, you all deciding and charting the course that you'd like to go, and then we can tap into and bring forward to you the resources to use to get there.
Yeah. So I see this as first of all, you can help us, I think, look at the structure of our process and give us some ideas based on other examples that you're aware of. And then we would provide the context. So I see that input from other jurisdictions and areas being very valuable, that you can bring to the table in our discussion. So that's very good.
I agree. Thank you.
Poonam, is there anything you'd like to add?
Brian, I was just going to maybe attempt to answer your question in a little bit of a different way by providing an example. And Mark and Dana definitely hit on the right points there, and we're happy to be a partner with this, with you all along the way. If you take a look at, at Humboldt, especially centered around their port, they have made concerted efforts. What they're trying to do there in the port is they're trying to attract a very key industry focus with aquaculture and offshore wind. And so what they've done and what we've worked with them on doing is navigating them through what Mark had suggested, setting up a tax increment financing district to allow for future funding to come into the port to cover infrastructure costs. These aquaculture projects are going to need a lot of water. So before we could even talk about incentivizing companies to locate there, we had to work on the infrastructure to set up to allow for that kind of attraction. So that's kind of what they've been working on that front, along with some of the iBank infrastructure assistance programs too, to help there. In addition, they've been trying to create a pipeline of workforce with Humboldt State University to account for the growing need and workforce that the aquaculture industry would have there, if they can call themselves an aquaculture hub. So talking about those regional partners and broadening your kind of network, as Dana mentioned, definitely plays a big role in being able to do that. But again, it's all dependent on where you guys see your strategic planning going, the goals that you have as a community and a region at large, and then how we can align that with state, federal funding, whatever it may be, to support in those efforts.
Very good. We're getting close to 10 o'clock. Typically we can go a little bit over, but does anybody else have any questions or comments, observations, or anything? This is a lot to take in, but we are just getting started establishing the structure for local conversation on economic development. And I think in the coming months, it's going to be very exciting to take these steps. So certainly everyone participating in the forum, you can give yourselves a pat on the back for really kicking this off for us as staff and the EDC. And I think the conversation we had a few meetings ago that led to this Economic Development Committee structured before the City Council on the 16th is going to be was very good and should be very helpful in accessing these resources. Anybody else have any comments or questions?
I do, Brian. This is Fran from Bridge. I want to make sure that that we have an opportunity to have these folks come and tour San Juan Bautista. come out and visit us and do a walkthrough. So I think it's great to do meetings, but I think starting with a tour of San Juan Bautista with some of the key members of our community would be a really great way to kick things off.
We'll be working with Renee and with Dana on that, I think.
Yes.
Yes.
Anybody else have any comments they'd like to make before we?
I just
Or
like
we-
as another sorry, Leslie, can you please mute? Just like I'm just looking at maps of San Benito County and surrounding areas and just really tapping into your resources, and what I can foresee is perhaps some short-term wins is some investments into perhaps some kind of tourism and marketing exposure. You have the Pinnacles National Park nearby. You have various other state parks, and looks like a burgeoning wine industry. So perhaps, utilizing your best assets in kind of identifying some short-term wins. And then I know there's increasingly tourism and hospitality is being looked at as a key economic development driver, and especially in kind of a post-COVID environment where people may not be as they may not have the opportunity to travel internationally. So they may look for something that they can do within a 100-mile drive. I think that's something that needs to, perhaps not be overlooked in your community, is what can we do just to attract people to, attract visitors over, weekend stays, 3-day stays to your community, and bring in some TOT and other, sales tax revenues through your wine and beverage industries.
Leslie, did you have anything that you you had any comments or questions? No. Okay.
No, thanks.
Okay, well, we're going to work with Renee to make the presentation. It's being recorded in the cloud. And I know Renee is going to, make it available to her board. And we will also look to see if we can make the content available on our website as well. So for those that could not attend this morning, we'll make that happen.
Great. And I'll send out a finalized version of the presentation that I sent out in a PDF form so that you all have that. And there are various links in there that you can access for additional resources that we just provided a quick overview on.
Very good. All
Great.
right. Well,
Thank you so much, Mark, Dana, and Poonen. We really appreciate it. I look forward to meeting you, Dana, and facilitating further discussion or a tour of with Brian of San Juan Bautista, maybe Hollister or San Benito, maybe not all in one day. We'll start with San Juan. It's got a lot to share. It's got the mission. It's beautiful downtown, and for me, it's like getting away from Hollister and San Benito. When I go there, I feel like I'm somewhere different, and I'm sure you would appreciate it too.
Yeah.
So
Well,
thank you so much for this.
I have to admit, there's a great Mexican restaurant that I'm familiar with in San Juan Bautista. And when I've gone through there and stopped in there, I made a point to visit that a few times. So just to get to go to that restaurant again, it will be great to come up and see you guys. So looking forward to it. There are some big opportunities ahead.
all right. Well, thank you, everyone, and look forward to further conversations.
All right.
Thanks so
you all.
much.
Thank you guys. Thank you so much, Brian. Thank you
so much, Brian.
Thank
all.
you,
Thank
crew.
you.
Yep, we'll be in touch. Yep, we'll be in touch.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Good to see you, Mary. Good to see you, Mary.